Sean O'Malley, a made man. Let's just go ahead and get into it, Dominic. I mean, the main event. Why even delay it any further?
Beat around the bush, yeah.
Because Boston gets to see the next Conor McGregor. You know, everybody's going to talk
Yeah.
about that, right? Because Sean O'Malley, Dominic, he achieves greatness on this night. He knocks out Aljamain Sterling 51 seconds into the second round, and in a fight where round one was essentially a complete chess match, feeling out process. Not the most exciting to watch, but you could tell both guys were itching for the other to make a move.
Oh, yeah.
Sean throwing so many feints, looking to force Aljo into a bad shoot. Aljo looking to get Sean to throw something, overextend, and leave himself open for a takedown. Both looking to counter the other.
Sure.
And it was who's going to slip first.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw in round two, Aljamain Sterling overextends himself looking for a jab, and Sean O'Malley lands the right hand of a century. The shot heard around the world, some would say. And the folks got to have a good old Boston Tea Party after the fight was over, just throwing shit into the Boston Harbor. No, it's a little out of our time range here, but
yeah.
Dominic, I just want to start by, I kind of gave the little speech, the little build up for the fight going in. And I just want to say something here because I was wrong. Even though I was rocking the Sean O'Malley hat, I like the guy. I think he's a great fighter. I was very wrong about this fight. I thought skill for skill, Aljamain Sterling was going to take Sean O'Malley into that deep water and drown him. That is not what happened. And this is part of what I said in the buildup that I could have seen happening. Like, I sort of stand by my preview. I stand by the fact that I believe skill for skill, like who has the most skills, who is the most well-rounded MMA fighter, I still kind of think Aljamain Sterling's probably better.
Sure.
But it doesn't matter, Dominic, because you will see fighters in the UFC who get this opportunity, who get that moment, the moment to reach for greatness. Some will rise, some will fall. The ones who fall typically will never get that shot again. And even if they do, it is not what it was the first time.
Yeah.
This was Sean O'Malley's moment on Saturday night. And Dominic, he grabbed it by the fucking balls. And he took it. And he is now a made man. He is the next superstar of this company. And that time is now. There's no waiting for the superstardom to take over. He is one of the biggest draws in the company by now.
Yeah.
And Saturday night just proved why so many were invested in this man's career. I want you to give your thoughts on the performance compared to what you expected going in. And what does this mean for Sean O'Malley moving forward?
It means that he's got a lot of dollar signs coming his way. I'll tell you that much. He is the guy, the made man. That's a good term to call him. No, he is a superstar. There very rarely in the sport do you get superstars. You get stars, big names, popular fighters, but it takes a lot to get to that upper echelon, that next level. The Connors, the Rondas. Izzy's like always on that borderline. We talk about Izzy a lot in terms of like the people that are fighting current day. And now Sean is there, I believe. I think this is the start of a very, very special run that we could see here if this man can continue winning, continue putting on highlight reel performances, finishes, his personality, the way that he talks, the cockiness, but the confidence to go with it. He backs it up when he's in the cage. He has storylines with all kinds of fighters lining up, chopping at them. Everybody wants to fight him. It was the Conor McGregor thing last night. Henry called him out. Merab called him out. Cheeto called him out. Corey Sandhagen's injured, but I'm sure he wants to fight him. Everybody wants the red panty night with SUGA Sean O'Malley. Now, Noah, it is the next wave. The new generation of stars here after last night. And I looked at our buddies watching this, and the second he got his hand raised, I'm like, that's it. He is now in the next level, the upper echelon. It was quite a performance. Like you said, first round was a feeling out, right? It was a very technical chess match, getting comfortable with one another. Sean did well. He analyzed what he needed to then capitalize on it in the second round. And let's talk about Conor McGregor here again, because that knockout he had against Aldo, you see the locker room footage. He's preparing the exact same shot, and that's what happened in the fight. Exactly what happens here with Sean O'Malley. They practice Aljo coming in, overexerting, bang, right hand lands. He practiced it, he put it into work, and now he's the bantamweight champion of the world.
Very well said there. And it was inevitable that those comparisons were going to be there. The Conor McGregor comparisons were in Boston. I thought there was a chance maybe Ian Gary would kind of steal some of that, depending on how that fight went. But you knew, even though in terms of their actual personalities and really even most of their rise, there's really not a lot of similarities at all.
No.
I mean, they are the ultimate personalities, but in such different ways. Such different ways. I mean, when Conor was on his rise, his flash was his mouth.
What?
His confidence, his talking ability. Sean O'Malley doesn't have that. He's a much more calm, cool, collected guy. But the style, the crazy hair, the clothes, the merch, like they both are so different. But yet here we are talking about them very intertwined.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fact that you saw that all over, the finish was essentially the same shot that Conor landed on Aldo. This is only good for O'Malley as he continues on from here, because the more your name is mentioned with McGregor, that can't be a bad thing.
No.
Maybe it'll annoy some people. Maybe they're like, hey, I want to be my own guy. Maybe he's like, I want to be Sean O'Malley. I don't want to be Conor. But make no mistake about it, if you're a guy looking for those dollar signs, if you're looking to etch your name into that legacy, that history of the business, the more you can be connected to Conor McGregor, the better.
Yep.
And there was an interesting connection to Conor being sort of made in the post-fight, Dominic, because Sean O'Malley has big plans for his title reign here. He called out Marlon Chito Vera, who won in your opening bout of the main card against Pedro Munoz, and then even said in the post-fight press conference that he wants to eventually box Gervonta Tank Davis. Let's focus more on the Marlon Vera side of this, but just the whole boxing thing, like that's something Conor with Floyd, it's just, again, it's
exactly.
But okay, so let's start with Marlon Chito Vera, because I think this is what I literally said this. I said, look, guys, do not be surprised if Marlon Vera wins Saturday and Sean O'Malley wins, that fight will probably happen next. Like, it just would not surprise me at all. And you can be upset about that. You can say, oh, Merab's getting screwed, because I think that's inevitably what a lot of people are going to say here. But I do not blame I don't blame Sean at all for going for that fight.
No.
There's a story there. Marlon Vera has gained, it seems, a bigger fan base, I would argue, than Merab has at this point. Not that that's really, I mean, Sean's going to be carrying the bulk of the buys here and whatnot, but there's a story there. Marlon Vera does have the win over him. Marlon Vera did get a win here, so like he's in the top. I think he's ranked 6 going into last night. So Dominic, I want to know what you think. I'm telling people why they shouldn't be surprised, but now that I've done that, are you a little frustrated that Merab's not getting the talk from really anybody as being the clear next challenger?
I mean, it's a little frustrating, especially if you're a Merab fan, I would suppose. And, that jacket moment will live in infamy, regardless of if these two ever fight. So that's the main reason I want to see him fight, just so someone can get the jacket back with the belt at the end with Dana White. But, I don't think you can really go wrong. You add in the factor that, Merab is injured. He did have surgery. He still has a cast on his hand. Maybe that December timeline really just doesn't make sense for him, and it's easier for Sean to fight Chito. And then you add in that it is a rematch. It's Sean's, lone loss of his entire career. He carries around the 17-0 moniker very strongly. It's in his Twitter bio, that he's never lost to Chito Vera. And Chito had a good performance. It wasn't like a finish or anything, but it was a typical Marlon Chito Vera performance last night against Pedro Munoz. He's so tough. He carries power, such clean striking. I'd love to see that run back. It would be what, 4 years later, 3 years later. So I'm okay with it. Merab not getting it. I would like to think that Merab wouldn't have to fight anyone else. I'd like to think he could heal up from injury and then just get the winner. That's where it could get a little bit more frustrating for me, but I'll kind of wait and see what happens with him. But immediate first shot, Marlon getting it, I'm okay. I'm okay.
So you're okay as long as Marab does not have to fight again for his shot.
Yeah, I don't think he should have to fight again.
Yeah, which I feel like if it's gonna be hard, I think, for him to make that push to have sort of any sort of leverage to make that a
Mm-hmm.
reality.
Mm-hmm.
You tweeted that, hey, let's do the Marab fight. Like that's the story for the jacket. Like it seems like the majority of people online want to see that fight. Sure, we all understand that the Marlon Vera fight is a good one. It's got a story. It's likely next. Sean called for it, but also like maybe we should. Maybe it's not just like a matter of accepting that. Like Marlon Vera just got dominated 6 months ago by Corey
Mm-hmm.
Sandhagen. Again, I'm not surprised by any of this, that this is the way it's going. But I love Cheeto Vera, and he had a great run before that loss to Corey Sandhagen. But if Marab is ready to go, which I know you threw that in there about like, oh, the injury, maybe he's not ready. Are we really going to give the UFC the benefit of the doubt on like? I mean, it's pretty clear. I think even if he was healthy, that
Yeah, he ain't getting it.
and I mean, and the idea that he would be able to with a guy that doesn't have like this big name. Yes, he's got great wins, but this idea that he could be out for it'll probably be over a year and get that title fight. Like Sean O'Malley was able to do that. I don't think
Yeah.
Marav Dwalishvili will be able to have that same push. Possibly, it is possible. Dominic,
Mm,
timing is everything in this sport.
sure.
Maybe there, maybe the opportunity will present itself, but you have to think by the time Sean O'Malley, if he were to be or Cheeto Bear, whoever would win that fight, would be ready to defend next. You're talking about Corey Sandhagen being ready to go, and
True.
likely, I think what this means is you get Corey Sandhagen against Marav Dwalishvili, which is a fantastic fight. But it's gonna feel very strange seeing these two guys being forced to fight each other when they both are likely have earned that title shot much more than Marlon Vera has at this point. That's all I'm saying.
And what do you think? Does Henry Cejudo fit into that little love triangle at all as
Oh,
well? Do you think? Does he
Henry
throw
Cejudo.
wrenches into it? You know, he's talked about
Uh,
him and Marab potentially fighting and whatnot.
yeah, it's definitely a possibility. What I presented would be I mean that seems to make the most sense. What I presented, but
Sure.
if you did Henry Marab, that's a great fight as well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh Yeah, I don't know. Is there someone else I'm kind of missing in that bunch of people there? Like, I mean,
It's
Aljamain Sterling, right?
well, yeah, sure.
Not sure if you saw his post-fight press conference, Dominic,
Yeah.
but he kind of called for an immediate title rematch,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of interesting that like nobody is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
giving him that on for a guy who defended the title the amount of times he has, who's been a good champion, a guy that we've defended, been in
Mm-hmm.
his corner. Nobody's really, I don't see anybody coming to his defense for this on anywhere. It doesn't seem like the interest is there.
Yeah.
We're sitting here talking about other options before him.
Yeah.
Do you think it's in his best interest to move up, or is it for him to try to stay relevant in the top of the heap here at bantamweight, and just him and Marab have to try to make it work? Like, what's the best route if you're Aljamain Sterling?
I feel like if I'm him, there's almost nothing else to prove at 135. I mean, he's wiped everyone out essentially except for Marab, and they're never going to fight each other anyway. So, like, best case at 135, you rematch Sean, beat him, get your belt back, maybe run a trilogy. I mean, that'd be great in terms of the bank account for Aljo. So that would be smart. But outside of that, like, I really like the idea of him going to 145. I don't know if he gets right into a title shot now. It hurts when you don't
Yeah,
have a belt already. But I think there's fun matchups to be had. He's a big bantamweight. I think it could be fun to see him fight Yair Rodriguez, Max Holloway. I saw someone on Twitter say, why not go up and get your first 145-pound fight with Brian Ortega? There's some fun matchups I feel like that could be really interesting. And it's hard when there's big finishes like this to like see another like it's I'm going back to Izzy knocking out Alex in their rematch. I was like, yeah, it's over. I mean, yeah, it's 1-1 in the UFC, but nah, it's over. I don't need to see that fight again. So that's kind of where I find myself here. Aljo got knocked out. It is what it is. He got his title defenses. And I think also I'm pairing that with he's already shown that interest in 145 before. Maybe that's where some people are just kind of like, yeah, he's kind of already shut the door on 135. Let him go. I don't know. If he gets the rematch, I'd be happy for him because, like I said, if he gets that trilogy worked out with Sean somehow, that's great for him financially. But I would like to see him at 145. I
Yeah,
think there could be
yeah.
some
I
fun.
mean, sure, we'd all be happy for it, but Dominic, do you want to see this fight run back? Yes or no?
No, no.
There we go. Exactly. It's just it's not saying that we have a fair opinion of like it's not fair, right? Because I'm sure there's other champions who would be in similar situations that maybe we would say we want to see that fight run back. But I think the amount of contenders here plays a big factor. Guys who have yet to get a title shot, who have been knocking at the door for a while, who've had to wait. It all kind of comes together to make it hard to give an existing champion who got knocked out in round two an immediate rematch. I mean, that's just as simply as I can put it. Yeah, I don't know if there's really any other element to go over here, Dominic. Is there something I'm missing? I mean, I guess with Sterling, the 145 aspect of this, you're talking about opponents like Max Holloway and Brian Ortega, even a guy like Volkanovski or anybody, Ilya Tuporia in this top five. I mean, do you really think those are like good matchups? Because it's like Aljo is a greatly skilled fighter, and yes, he's a big guy at bantamweight. But he even said it himself. He's like, if Sean O'Malley just did this to me, what's Alexander Volkanovski gonna do to me? I mean, these guys are a lot bigger, and for someone like him who is so good as a wrestler and does kind of utilize his size in his fights in order to take the fight to where he wants it to go. Do you think he could hold up at 145? Do you think the chin gets better if he's not cutting the weight? I mean, or do you feel like realistically, if any of those matchups are made, he is a big underdog in all of them?
I would imagine he would be an underdog in most. You look at all those guys. Let's just name the top five: Max Jair, Ortega, Topuria, and Arnold Allen. 4 out of the 5 are phenomenal, fantastic strikers, and Ortega is good at striking, right? But he's known for the grappling and jiu-jitsu. So those are all hard matchups for someone in Sterling who is known for being a great grappler and jiu-jitsu, and just got knocked out by a fantastic striker in Sean O'Malley. So when you look at it that way, they all are very hard matchups, and I think that might be what makes me so intrigued by them for some odd reason. Like, I don't know, it seems like it could be some sort of fun rejuvenation to see what could happen for Aljo. Can he really cement legacy even further as not just one of the best bantamweights of all time, but maybe one of the best of all time fighters in general if he can make a run there? There's something to that I'm really wanting to see.
Yeah, I've been on record kind of saying I'm a bit pessimistic on the idea of Aljo at 145 pounds, and I think Saturday made that more of a reality for me. Not that Sean O'Malley is not a great fighter, but I just don't really foresee. I could see Aljo winning fights and beating top 10 guys, but any of those guys you mentioned, I think it doesn't end very well for him. I don't know if he's been able to effectively grapple his way to a win. He's not going to be, obviously he's not known as a striker, but he's at least had some power, to sort of get him through some of those exchanges. That's not going to hold up near as well at 145 pounds. And ultimately, he doesn't. It's not that he has like some great chin. I mean, not that it's a bad one, but we've seen it cracked a couple times, and I think the guys hit harder. They're bigger. I mean, it's tough. It's an uphill battle for sure. I mean, I think that's what's next. I don't see. It's really unfortunate for him because if him and Bravo are refusing to fight, he's sort of forced out of the picture here, in my opinion, because
Mm-hmm.
He set that up though. Like he's the one that
Mm-hmm.
sort of set that up as like, he's after this fight, he moves on.
Yeah.
That if he had made that so clear, maybe remember what I said, Dominic, a year ago? I was talking about Marov moving down, going to
Yep.
125. So maybe things could have turned out different, but as it stands, I think he's sort of stuck kind of facing this move head on.
See, I'm glad you just brought it to that point because I was literally about to say. So after all that we've just discussed, is it safe to say Aljo is in a bit of a state of lingo right now? This is an awkward
Yes,
little place he
it
finds
is.
himself in.
It's
Yeah.
hard to look at any of the moves and say either A, you think that
Yep.
goes well, or B, there's much interest in him doing it. And that's like
Mm-hmm.
it sucks. That's you can't say that for many champions.
I
Like I
know.
hate that for it
Yeah.
because we've been in his corner for a while now, and now he loses, and it's like I don't have much for you.
Yeah. Exactly. It's crazy.